Me. You hear me?
I can hear you now.
You hear me now? You okay? Hold on. Let me hear you. Do you hear
Uh,
me? Do you hear me? Oh,
yes, I
Jesus.
can hear you.
It's bright and early. Oh, my goodness. Oh, God. Oh, God, Dr. G. It's
What's going on,
on.
dude?
It's recording.
It's
Oh,
live.
hold on. I got my synthroid in my mouth. Look.
That's exciting. Thank you
Look.
for that. Yeah,
Look. I got my coffee ready.
coffee
Got my
talk.
mug. Let me get a close up. Jesus. God.
It's way too early. These poor people.
Let's wake up. It's coffee talk. Grab your mugs, fix your wig, swallow your pill. It's time.
Here we go.
It's coffee talk with the Tika. Nothing rhymes with that but chicken tikka. We name drop here with Stefan and all his friends.
Good evening. Good evening. Good morning. Good morning. Oh my goodness! Look how happy and young we look in that picture. And just think
Sort of.
it was only taken a couple of months ago. That picture.
We're getting older. That's just what we do.
Very fast. Very fast. Well, how are you doing, Dr. G?
Doing fairly well. It's interesting because we have a friend from California who she works with us at Middle Path Medicine. Noelle, she's visiting us, and Miranda got to go to the Ryman Theater, which is everybody knows is an institution here in Nashville, and they went to see Matt Mason, who's a singer songwriter. He does the Trippin' on Hallucinogenic song. That's about all I know. So they get to go do that. I get to spend good quality time with Leo. So it's been a good weekend.
That's good. And you know what? We need to tell her. Miranda needs to tell her friend
Mhm.
that not only are we streaming live right now, but if you missed this broadcast, you can find us on all platforms. Just, iHeart, everywhere, Google, anywhere. That's right. This will be recorded everywhere after today. I
Excellent.
don't know if she cares, but I care.
Yeah. Well, we'll let her know. I mean, it's one of
Let,
those things,
let her
so
know. Let her know. Well, it is
absolutely.
August 27th. And so,
It's good to be here. Good to be here with everyone. So, yeah, you get 777 Danny. Hi. And of course, Frozen Stefan on, you know, it's a good shot of his forehead.
Yeah, it's Hakami Chinik in here. Oh God, connection is unstable. If you're on Wi-Fi, try plugging into your router. I'm plugged into the router. Plugged in.
Yeah, plugged in. I'm
I'm
plugged
plugged.
in too,
It's something wrong with this internet here. I don't know what's going on here. ADIKAville. It says it's plugged in. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm plugged in. Yeah. Last week I had to go to Tempe, Arizona, so
Mhm.
couldn't really do a show.
Right.
But Tempe, Arizona, nice place.
hmm That's and, yeah, Miranda went to Arizona State, and obviously that's the main campus. She went to what they call, I think it's the West Campus or whatever. But
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm well familiar with Phoenix in the area, and
Yeah.
so yeah,
Some people go there to visit the college. They want to go visit sites. I go there to visit with Bob Crane, the actor from Hogan's Hero, where he was murdered.
mm, okay, wow, that's another way of approaching that.
Yeah, you know about that story? The movie Autofocus. You ever seen it?
I have not.
Be interesting. It's Greg Kinnear's in it. Willem Dafoe. It was like in
Mm,
2002, the film.
those
But the
two good
the real
actors.
story, Bob Crane. It's pretty interesting.
Mhm.
Hogan's Heroes.
I remember, Hogan's Heroes, Sergeant Schultz. Absolutely, yeah,
He had a weird life, Bob Crane.
really.
Yeah, oh yeah. He had a friend named John Carpenter, and which in the movie Willem Dafoe plays him. And he was like one of those guys that had home video recordings, like before beta. He was like the first guy to have it.
Hmm.
And he turned Bob Crane onto it, but Bob had a sex addiction, and he would film his women
Oh,
with his friend too.
okay.
The guy, they
Yeah,
got into it together, and he was like a hanger on a guy,
right.
John Carpenter. And he was married, Crane, with a
Mhm.
with and a family.
Right.
a normal wife that he met, early in his life.
The
But
main thing with these things is just as long as you're telling people you're doing it. This the whole thing about filming people when they don't know it is just ugh.
yeah, yeah, good point. And I don't know if he did or not, but back then
Mhm.
that was before. Look at Bill Cosby, what the shenanigans. Chuck
Right.
Berry was known for doing some stuff like this,
Right.
and so down the road, his first marriage ended. Of course,
Hmm.
he would develop the film himself. He was really into it. His son, Bob Crane Jr., wrote a book about it. He was actually the reason why the movie autofocus.
Hmm.
So his career ended up getting in the toilet because of his like Disney. They wouldn't hire him again because of the
Right.
shenanigans he was
Right.
doing. He was having stuff in the trailer and whatnot. But this friend John was a hanger on it. He'd only get women because he hung out with
With
Crane.
Bob Green. Yeah.
And he ended up marrying the woman from Hogan's Heroes, the blonde, the beautiful
Yeah.
blonde. Had a kid with her,
Okay.
and but still he was going on with his escapades, and all this crazy stuff. So
That's
he
what the
ended up,
addictions are. So
yeah, but he
yeah.
ended up moving to Tempe, not Tempe, yeah, Tempe, Scottsdale,
Okay.
Arizona,
Scottsdale. Yeah.
in a
Nice.
con, and he was going to end the friendship with with the guy. He was going to change his life around. Maybe he was
Hmm.
doing the dinner theater plays, and he ended up the person whoever murdered him. He was getting a divorce from the blonde now at this point.
Hmm.
In his sleep, he had his film set up. His pictures online. So his tripod stand
Hmm.
was in the living room. He was in a 2-bedroom apartment. And I went to this condominium. I went there. I took pictures. Maybe I'll do a vlog on it.
That's funny.
And they were in his house, and in his sleep, they hit him in the head with the tripod, and
Oh.
they strangled him with his cord.
Mm.
But they never found the killer. And the first his son, his first son from the first marriage who wrote the book, suspected 2 people. One was John Carpenter,
Hmm.
and the other was his stepmother, the blonde. Because
Wow.
whoever was in the house, it wasn't a break-in. There was 3 keys made. 1 key was missing,
Hmm.
and John knew the person, whoever it was. So there's a whole
What year?
story of
What year was this that he was killed?
1978.
78. Okay.
Yeah. Look, I remember this stuff.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
how nuts I am. I'm not
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
reading anything. I remember it on the top of my head.
Hmm.
1978. It's an interesting story over here. Hey, we got Debbie Muller. Hey, Debbie's here. Debbie, good
Hmm.
morning. 77 Danny, good morning. 77 Danny says
Yeah.
you can make an audiobook. Love to listen to your stories.
Yeah. You're a good
Sweetheart.
storyteller. That's
Yeah.
true.
I don't know if I'm that good, but you're a sweetheart, 77 Danny. And yeah, 1978. So they never knew who did the murder on this. And it went on for years. And John Carpenter went to trial. Of course, he's claiming he's innocent. And I think he was proven innocent. I think he might have been. I got to do a little more digging on it. But it's
Right.
he got this good looking. He had more sex than Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses with women. Think about it. Like this guy was like out of. There's
Right.
interviews online where he was interviewing like Marilyn Monroe. He used to have a radio show, Bob Crane, before he was an actor,
Hmm.
and like an interview with Marilyn Monroe, and you could hear him kind of flirting with her. So
Right.
all I'm thinking is watching this interview is, oh, would he love to film her and get dirty? I'm thinking,
Well,
like,
of course.
the
Yeah.
story. But yeah, interesting story.
Okay.
And you could Google. There's so many photographs of the body, and then when you go really deep into it, um, John Carpenter had a rental car, and because of DNA, it wasn't really new, and there was blood in the rental car, but the rental car was found in a different state, I believe, and DNA that time, since the blood was there for so long, they couldn't really prove it was John Carpenter. And at
Okay.
the time when the murder happened, it was a sloppy investigation. The cops let everybody in there, and
Right.
um, everybody tampered with touched everything. The girl who found John Carpenter was doing a show with him, so he got killed 2 a.m. She went to knock on the door because he was late for his rehearsal at the dinner theater. She had a key, and maybe the cops questioned her, but the door was open, the front
Hmm.
door. She walked in there and she thought it was a woman in the bed because it looked like dark in the bed laying there, but
Right.
it was blood.
Hmm.
She realized it was him. So it's a whole crazy story,
Right.
and they don't know who did it now.
Well, it's interesting too.
Yeah.
You don't realize how often the sex addiction and porn addiction is out there. The pandemic, when so many people were at home, and it was just like people I didn't even suspect as these are obviously people I was seeing, and it really became to the forefront how often this sex addiction stuff was, and
Mhm.
so it's another an addiction like any other, and definitely needs its a specific counseling and treatment as far as that goes. But so yeah, none of that surprises me. Didn't know that story, obviously, but
Yeah, yeah, intro. You could see the movie, everybody autofocus, and
mhm,
you could Google it. But I took some videos and I walked around. It's a small little condominium built in 1975. I
wow,
even looked how much it's worth. I go, this would be a good vlog to
mhm,
mix it with my real estate. Like, you want to live here?
yeah,
Because the people who owned the place originally, the
right,
original owners, they tried to sell it on eBay, banking on the Bob Crane that they'll get more money for this. So they went on
right.
eBay trying to sell it themselves using the place where Bob Crane got murdered. It's really odd, the whole
Mhm.
thing. And
I think
yeah.
it's interesting that you track these things down. Miranda was just telling me, you had followed that Kristen Smart story, and obviously that was another
Mhm.
sloppy police job, and they
Yeah.
finally did convict. Did you hear what happened with Paul Flores?
He got beat up in jail, didn't he?
Well, he got his throat slit, actually.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he has 2 hours in general population, and he survived, but
Wow.
so and it's one of those things that obviously, if you have a reputation for doing those types of things, you don't even do well in the prison population. So you'll
Wow.
have to
So
have his own private thing. So he survived. So at least last thing I heard, and so. But
holy cow.
yeah, it's interesting. Miranda's definitely the one that's into these like whodunits and figuring things out, like obviously like you are. So um,
Wow, that is interesting. There's another true
true crime stuff.
documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it is crime kind of.
Hmm.
It's on Netflix right now, and Amber was watching it, and I didn't watch the whole thing, so I'm going to be a bad storyteller for 77 Danny and Debbie right now. So don't get mad at me, girls. Okay, I'm just a guy with a doctor on the show, but this I. I'm just a guy having a conversation with my friend here.
Yeah.
I was telling Debbie Muller about about the show. It's like I need my Sundays with Dr. G. It's like therapy. He doesn't know it, but you're a doctor. You're helping me out. But we get to talk about stuff and all this great stuff. And if it is your first time here, everybody, make sure you subscribe and hit the
Yes.
bell to be notified. If you want to chat with us, that we have a members only club. It's for members. It keeps the riffraff out. It keeps the good people in. It supports the show. So yeah, chat with us along. Appreciate rocking the badges. There's Debbie, there's 77 Danny. Always love to see you ladies here.
Yeah.
Deb Jackson, wherever you are, Tara, there's a couple of others out there. Get your badges together. Come on in, Steve Mithon and everybody cooking with the kid. I don't know where they are. He's
Yep.
probably getting ready for church. And I don't want to upset him on a Sunday. But Netflix has a show called Painkiller. Have you heard about this show? Oh, this is an interesting one. I didn't know what it was about. And I'm looking and there's a pretty girl and I see there's a wild party going on. I go, "What's this?" It's Farmer. They're having a party because the sales are up.
Hmm.
And it's the story um, about Purdue Farmer. They were the manufacturers of OxyContin, and it
Right. I
was
know about Purdue Pharma, obviously. Yeah.
about Purdue Farmer and the
Right.
family behind it. What are they called? The Sackler
Hmm.
family.
Right.
Um, they founded and owned a pharmaceutical company called Purdue Farmer, and one of the names. And
Mhm.
they're the ones who introduced, I guess, OxyContin. And I guess the gentleman from Purdue, what was they were there? First of all, they grew up in Brooklyn. The family, they're from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
It was Raymond Sackler, Arthur Mortimer
Hmm.
Sackler, and yeah, Jewish
I like it.
immigrants from Poland. Yeah, grew up Brooklyn people in the 30s, and all three of the siblings went to medical school. They worked together
Hmm.
at Creedmoor Psych Center in Queens. Creedmoor, that's a wild place. I know that place.
Right.
I don't know it personally, but But yeah, and in 1996, Purdue Pharma introduced OxyContin, and you know, out, and it was almost like it became the opiate epidemic, I
Right.
guess, and heavily,
Right.
and
Well, they again they work the system, and that's when we talk so much about why standard of care is so horrible is because it was standard of care. Pain is the fifth vital sign, and doctors were prescribing enough narcotics, and we've killed. I mean, but using standard of care, I mean, it's unequivocal how many hundreds of thousands of people doctors have
Mhm.
killed, and you don't like to say it that way because that offends people, but we really did kill these people by prescribing things the way we were taught to do them. Okay. And so, and how, oh, we can't be blamed for ourselves, but we can be blamed because we should have known better. And so yes. And now, as you remember, I've told you this, that I had continuing education to tell me to prescribe more narcotics. Now I have required, continuing education to not prescribe narcotics. But then some people are going to be undertreated because it's so difficult to get medicines when you do need them. So it's the swinging back and forth that we see in the world on almost anything. But but yes, the OxyContins, the Purdue Pharma, and how much they got away with all the misleading, the death, etc. Is crazy. Yeah.
It is crazy, and it has it's from Ferris Bueller, Matthew Broderick. He
Hmm.
plays Richard Sackler,
Okay.
uh, who owns Purdue Pharma at the time, and he was a doctor. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, he was a doctor actually, and it shows how Sackler lays the groundwork, how he got it approved,
Hmm.
FDA approved,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's called money. Yeah, yeah, and influencing and things. That's why FDA approval has really at this point no meaning of any kind other than somebody has the money to get something approved,
Mm.
and that's why.
It goes
Yeah,
it's heavy, and it shows people's lives behind. It shows some of the
right,
farmer reps.
right,
Okay, it shows the parties, the big,
right.
and he's like wearing sunglasses like a rock star dancing, and then also it shows the people getting addicted who had
Hmm.
families and what
Right,
they're going through.
right.
It's it's definitely a interesting flick
Hmm.
to find on Netflix, and I think they only at the end he went to court and it maybe cost him like 3 billion in
Yeah.
fees, but when you look at the money,
Nothing compared to what they made. It was nothing. It's truly, it's like when somebody says, "Oh, but Jeff Bezos gave somebody $1 million. Oh, he's such a he makes like hundreds of millions of dollars a day." It's truly, literally like throwing nickels at things, and so these penalties sound like a lot, but they're nothing compared to what's actually being made, and that's what, again, why we're so caught up in this world of trying to blame people on like food stamps when somebody like this gets away with truly murder, right?
it was murder.
Right.
It was like he was like a legal drug. He was like the
And the
godfather of drug
FDA is in
dealing.
on it, and the CDCs are in on it, and they're all part of the same system that's really about making money, and it's not about promoting health, people. And anybody who listens to us knows this already, but yeah, I'd be very interested in watching. I know that they've done something about the story, but it's also part of something that I was part of, and I prescribed who knows how many narcotics that could have killed people because I did standard of care. That's why I always, because you did. Is it right to follow these instructions that are supposed to be the right things to do? And anything a doctor does, you guys need to hear this. It's probably wrong. It's just influenced by money and whatever. It's a statin drug for cholesterol. We've talked about that so many times.
Yeah.
You don't use that drug to treat cholesterol. You use it to treat heart disease, but that's not what's taught to the doctors. So they completely mistreat that people that way. The drugs that went over the counter. We were doing the thing on dementia lately, and proton pump inhibitors, Prilosec, Nexium, they all went over the counter. You take them for more than 4.5 years, your risk of dementia goes up 30%. And
Wow.
and 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 everybody in functional medicine knew this, but again, how long it would take because it's not going to be instantaneous. And so everything out there that is used to treat things treats symptoms and usually creates new diseases. So OxyContin will treat the symptom of pain. Nobody doubts that. Your pain will feel less when you take it. However, you'll become addicted very quickly. Your pain perception will get worse and worse and worse so that you need more and more medicine. And then you're caught in this web. And so it's the standard of care of using. That's why I always say you can't poison yourself to long-term health.
Wow.
Short-term use, you have. I agree, Danny. You have a short-term pain. You use a narcotic. You have passing a kidney stone. For the love of God, use IV morphine if you need to, because it hurts and there's no reason. Once you've identified the problem, the pain is not helping you. So for a short term, relieve the pain past the kidney stone, whatever the acute pain is, and so, or the broken bone or whatever. Very acutely treat that and then move past. So medicine's great for short term, right? Like the medicines I was just talking about, great for the short term healing of bleeding ulcers, life-saving medicines. Okay. However, take them long term, you're going to cause more diseases. And so, but there's so many stories that could be written just like that, about the Vioxxes of the world and other drugs that got approval that shouldn't have, and how that happens. And so that's why everybody has to question when it comes to going. You and I have talked about this on the show. Like, the primary care physician probably should be a naturopathic doctor, somebody who is willing to treat you naturally,
Mhm.
and then refer to an MD when you need drugs for things. But yeah, that's sorry for going off on that, but that's
No, no, yeah.
I don't specifically know is it a series or just a
It's
movie?
it's it's a series. It's
Okay.
it's a series, and you could see it. I mean,
Called Painkillers.
it's called Painkiller, and it
Okay.
dips its toes into the wild legal saga surrounding OxyContin. But in the truth,
Mm.
and I'm reading some of this from the notes I pulled up here, so don't people, oh, Stefan knows everything about this. I was watching it in and out. My wife started like 3 parts. David Duchovny's daughter is the pharma rep in it. I didn't even know he had a daughter. She's like
Right.
24, cute girl. She's in it, and it shows how they're using the young, pretty farmer girls to get their way in the doors. It shows the doctors. And I'm like, I go, this is what goes on. But in truth, the company had been sued
Mhm.
thousands of times over the drug, which was released in 1996, including by 48 states. And then I'm reading this right here.
Mhm.
Those lawsuits have led to the current proposed Purdue Pharma bankruptcy settlement that would pay out as much as $6 billion to the victims. $6
Okay.
billion. And
Probably still just scratches the surface of how much pain they actually cause, though. I mean, that's
oh
the
my
thing.
God, deaths,
You know.
people losing jobs,
Yeah.
family, all endless, endless. I mean,
Mhm.
OxyContin, it just
Right.
it's
And it's funny because it was sold basically as it's the right thing to do. That's how people sell the worst evil things, is you're relieving pain. We have to do this. How could you be so cruel as a doctor not to give these medicines, And it's sold, it's how evil is often sold, is that way. And so yeah, it is
and
it is interesting. And so because most doctors don't want to kill you. They
but
don't want to harm you. But they chose a pathway where we're only giving these poisons, and therefore we have almost no option, we think, other than recommending drugs. And we've talked about that before. It's like you're going to a prescriptionist, a doctor who just gives drugs. So that's why you don't get advice about nutrition and supplements and chiropractic and massage and Reiki and all the other wonderful healing modalities of the world, because they're not what we do as MDs.
oh, it shows all the donations that the Sackler family had, to
Right.
show themselves that they're good people and all this.
Yeah.
And over here, I'm reading on the Wikipedia, they contributed 116,000 to the Connecticut Democratic Party.
Right.
It's,
Oh yeah.
you know,
Pharmaceutical stuff goes crossed. It's like the gun lobby is primarily the Republicans, right? But the pharmaceutical reps, it's through they pay everybody off, including Democrats. That's why when we talk about the first problem deal with we had another mass shooting again, right? Just in Jacksonville, right?
yeah.
And so AR-15s and whatever else like that, and it'll all be covered up, and but it's again this promotion of hate, again this case against Black people, but the same influence, the money that create gun laws that have nothing to do with what the vast majority of Americans want. They have to do with making money from the gun industry, which is massive, and so. But that's the same problem. Why are we the only country? It's like, why isn't there universal healthcare, right? It's like, it's too complicated. Out of 35 developed countries, 34 others have figured it out. So either we're the stupidest country in the world, which again, you might argue,
Uh,
but we could get universal healthcare because every other developed country has it. And we don't. So, there's so many things within our country that are we're this end stage cancer capitalism thing, where we think money is all that matters, and that's why the Purdue's got away with it as far as they did. That's why the gun manufacturers and NRAs getting away with murdering our country and our children and everything. And we have whole groups of people there to just support them. It is amazing, because you could write that about so many different drug companies, so many the vaccine manufacturers, et cetera, et cetera. It's all about profits, not about taking care of you. And so
It's pretty
it's the
crazy to
same.
hope.
Yeah,
You,
it's amazing. Yeah.
in the film, in this Netflix show, they show the patient going to the doctor. I need it. Just give it to me. Throwing a tantrum in the office,
Right.
and the doctor's like, "I'll get you methadone. We'll get you off of this because
Right.
it's like a heroin." And it's you'll see the guy at 1 second leaving the office, storming out. He's selling his tools that I guess he was
Right.
for his job and stuff.
Right.
Um, and when it became clear to the public how harmful OxyContin could be, doctors were more weary of, I guess, prescribing it. But
Yeah.
now
And
going
once,
in on it back then,
yeah.
when it was introduced to you, for example, did you have the reps coming into your office about the Oxy? Were they coming back then?
No, because I was never a big, I never was I prescribed narcotics, everybody, but it just wasn't a big thing. The drug reps, left me a long time ago, most of them anyways, because I wasn't a big prescriber. You guys probably know this, the drug reps in the area, they know better about the doctor's prescribing patterns than I do. So
Mhm.
then somebody says, like, I remember once that was about, it was a blood pressure medicine. This is so long ago, but long and short of it is the rep for this drug knew more about how many prescriptions I wrote than I did, because I don't
Wow.
track, as far as that goes. And it's like, how do you know? Oh, we know about all those things, so they know who the prescribers are of OxyContin, and that's of course who they're promoting the most to, and so the drug reps know who the prescription patterns in that county or wherever their service area is, and they keep up with those doctors. So my patterns were obviously not enough for most things, and so
Wow.
when when the hepatitis C drugs first came out, I was right on that one, because I had so many hepatitis C patients I was treating with IVs and other things, and I told them as soon as a good treatment came out, you would be on it. And so and these drug reps started showing up for these companies because I was a prescriber, as they called them. It's like, you're a prescriber, and it's like, yes. Well, most doctors don't even treat hepatitis C. They send them to the hepatologist. It's like, this is really kind of easy. It's a pill a day. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, and so it was like, so I started getting reps for showing up in my office because that I'd never even heard of, because I was a prescriber, meaning they knew that I was prescribing those medicines. And it's hilarious, the pattern that is out there. But yeah, the old pattern of the beautiful rep going to the doctor's office, it does work. I mean, we're influenceable because we're human.
They show in this Netflix show, they show the girl, then she has the new girl. This is gonna be and this, you see the room is, I don't know how much, of course they're gonna exaggerate it more, but they're going through this bad neighborhood where all these junkies are outside and they're banging on the
Right.
offices, but they have they're just really nice, the two girls. And
Right.
David Duchovny's daughter is the experienced rep, and she's
Right.
bringing the new rep, and the doctor's like all this chaos, but he like zones in on the new young girl. You could tell.
Yeah.
Oh, and your name is, and
Yeah.
you see all the craziness around it. So that's where I walked in on the show. I'm like, what is this show? And then I go to Amber. I go, this is your job, Amber. And I'm like, with these doctors, I go, I don't know about this. And I'm going,
Yeah.
and but of course, my wife, she's having a birthday tomorrow, so she'll, I'm glad she's the old lady in the field now, because she's
Right.
married to me,
Yeah.
like this
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
crazy looking guy.
Yeah.
But it's some kind of
It is.
racket. It's some
It
big
is.
farmer.
And most doctors had no idea what they're getting into when they went into medical school. You didn't know how about diagnosis codes and all the insurance schemes and everything else. You think you're just going to practice medicine, but so many influences keep you from practicing medicine. They practice medicine to standard of care, which is really scary out there. And so for a whole lot of reasons, but
Yeah.
mainly because it's not aimed at aimed at keeping profits as compared to treating people. But yeah, that's why it's also so tough for me to watch some of those things, because you've been part of it. It's like, I did that, so I knew about that, and I'd kind of forgotten about it, that series existed, and so But yeah, it's good to reflect over these things and about the errors you've made as a doctor over the year. And the biggest errors I've always made is when I was following the standards of care. Always.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
It's just
Hmm.
you look at a name like the Sackler, and here they are donating, and a movie like this. There's been more than one movies made about them, but this one just came on my desk because it's
Right.
trending now on Netflix. It's one
Right.
of the top shows out there, and you got them spending all the money donating to the here, making themselves look good, hiding behind the dollar.
Right.
At the same time, they're making the dollar, but the result is overdoses. It's around 100 and around 145 Americans die every day from an opiate overdose every day. You
Hmm.
know, that's when you think about this, and
Because once the doctors stop prescribing, then they go online. They can find these drugs anywhere, and so again, and I've had patients and even a friend once who she was getting online drugs and snorting. It was hydrocodone. It's like oxycodone, but and killed herself with that. So
wow,
so yeah, it's um, the and where they were getting these things, apparently you can find these things almost anywhere. And when the doctor stopped prescribing, it doesn't mean it's the end. It just means you've created an addict, and then we stop prescribing for you. Now you go to have to find heroin on the proverbial streets or whatever, and then you have now instead of a uniform dosage, you have things that can vary a lot, and you can kill yourself very easily, accidentally. I'm talking about, not just
yeah,
intentionally, which of course occurs too. So it's crazy, guys. And so stay away from opiates as much as you can. Again, several day use to get over the kidney stone, the operation, the broken bone. Again, super intelligent for short term because there's no need for that level of pain, but then get off of them as soon as you can.
yeah. And it does show that in the show, in the film or the series, it shows how these people getting addicted, how they're buying it on the streets,
Hmm.
and just how people are like chopping it up for whatever
Correct.
use they're making out of it.
Right.
In a bankruptcy court filing on July 7th, 21, multiple states agreed to settle, and though Purdue admitted no wrongdoings,
Right.
the Sacklers would agree never to produce opiates again and paid
Right.
billions in damages toward a charitable fund.
Right.
And Purdue Pharma was dissolved on September 1st, 21, and the Sacklers agreed to pay 4.5 billion over 9 years, with
Wow.
most of that money funding addiction treatment.
Right.
Um, and then the
And that's why,
bankruptcy,
again,
yeah.
addiction is a disease that needs to be treated that way, whether it's sex or drugs or alcohol or all the different
But
addictions
still,
out there.
here, okay, they did that, but the Sacklers had moved money to offshore accounts to
Of
protect it
course, to
from
purchase their money. Yeah,
claims. Yeah,
exactly what they did, which
yeah,
is what people with money do. That
yeah,
so
yeah.
that's
So
why the tax cuts for the rich and the rest of us pay more money than the Elon Musks of the world. It's the same basic system. They know how to protect their money. We don't. And so yeah, it is interesting, but it's part of the cultural awakening that we need. We need this waking up of people. And when I was because University of Florida, we did have clinics in Jacksonville and things like that, and I still, when I see the shootings that occurred there, it's just another. And of course, we have these things in Tennessee. I mean, good golly, I mean, it's a fascist, authoritarian, non-democratic state. It really is because they're literally limiting First Amendment rights to save Second Amendment rights is crazy. How far the country has fallen in terms of even basic human decency. And so, but there's a lot of laws protecting the big pharmaceutical companies, though they won't fail. It's just like the banks can't fail, right? They'll
yeah,
they'll do things and then they'll get bailed out with billions of dollars. You and I don't get bailed out, right? And so hell, you can't even get the students to get their student loans taken care of. Like every other rich person gets their loans taken care of through the
yeah,
COVIDs and the whatever else like that, or the banks fail and they get all the money. Again, it's so obvious what's happening here, but it's about keeping us chronically addicted to something, and again, obviously in the culture it can be drugs, but again, there's people just addicted to the hatred of people who are black or LGBTQ, and they don't realize that they're being focused into being hateful of this group so that they don't see the real bigger picture about what's really happening to them, right? So
Yeah,
You see it everywhere, and so what do? We just keep meditating, keep
you
seeing
keep
things the way they
meditating.
are, and realize that there's a reason this is, and then you treat people kindly wherever they are, and you just do the things that you can to make the changes that you can in this world. And so, and and be very careful of falling for anything in the mainstream media. The most of it's there just to influence you, and you have to think, oh, why are they trying to influence me this way? There's got to be
Yeah.
something there, right? You know,
Well, this Netflix miniseries definitely brought it to my attention. Really, what's going on, and it's crazy how the Sackler family, they tried to start out this, make their name, make them righteous, and it's just how one Sackler took it, and it took the name of the family, and they're described as the most evil family in America, and
mhm,
the worst drug dealers in history, and that's how they'll be remembered. Definitely from this film when you
right?
see it. So check it out. And there's a documentary called Crime of the Century that was on HBO about them. And
Okay,
but
really? Okay.
this was a mini series I think you might find interesting, Dr.
Yeah.
G. So check
It's
it
funny
out.
watching
Hmm.
good ones. I just this morning I was gonna like there's a Netflix series called Swamp Kings. It's about the Florida Gator football team. So here I am thinking about Netflix series about Florida Gator football teams, and you're watching
Yeah,
something that was
I'm
important.
watching something else. Seven
Yeah,
Seven
that's something
Danny.
that actually is there.
Yeah, the best
Yeah.
healing vibes for me is someone is taking care. My doc takes
Right.
20 minutes minimum and
Mm.
talking with his
With
patients.
his patients, yeah,
And what's
you
Deb
know, so
Jackson saying of it? She
mm,
has a lot going on.
yeah,
Deb Jackson's crazy this morning. What is she going on? What is she
mm,
saying? Deb Jackson says you can get whatever you want in prison. Very easy to get. Deb
I bet.
Jackson, right? Especially in the VA system.
Hmm.
Huh? Huh? We got hush stirred up this morning. I
Yeah.
like it. That's right. Got Deb
Yeah,
Jackson. I
most
like
people, if you get
you know.
10 minutes, you're lucky. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, a doctor spending 20 minutes with you is crazy in today's world because the system's set up to keep your doctor from talking to you and really finding out about you and treating you as a human. You get treated as a disease who so happens to have a human. Remember, we've talked about that. That's
Yeah.
the way medicine is made. It's we think of you as a disease who so happens to have a human. We treat the disease, not the human. And it's a fundamental error. That occurs. And so yes, get to be seen as a real human, and that takes connection.
Yeah, it does. It takes
Hmm.
connection. And then we had sad news this over yesterday, I believe it was. It was yesterday. Bob Barker, Price is Right, had passed away,
I heard about
99 years old, huh?
yeah.
There he is when he started out, right there,
Hmm.
99 years old. That's how I remember him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right there. I did a little quick thing about it when I heard the news. I did a breaking
Oh,
news that Bob Barker had passed at 99. But I remember in the 70s, The Price is Right. Come on down. And I didn't realize a lot about him. He was a big animal activist. He was a vegetarian. He was vegan, I
oh
believe.
really? Yeah.
Yeah, vegan. And
Hmm.
he used to host Miss USA and all that. And he ended up leaving. He didn't want them to use real fur on the show. That was one of the reasons.
Really?
Yeah, he married his like high school sweetheart, and she passed away at a young age. I believe
Yeah.
lung cancer. If
Oh,
I'm wrong, I don't have little notes now in front
right.
of me. But he seemed like a nice guy.
Right.
Even though he had right here, he looks like something that could be from uh Star Wars, like like the dark side of, but he was actually a good guy. I'm making fun of the
Right.
guy. He passed away. I'm calling him the dark side. But
Yeah.
I gotta bring some humor, but he was like a nice guy. Like,
Right.
you know, lived his life, loved animals, and
Yeah.
he ended up had a woman after his wife passed away. She was his partner. He met her, I believe, at one of these animal activist places, and he was doing
Hmm.
something, and they ended up having a relationship forever.
Right.
She claimed she didn't know who Bob Barker was. I didn't know The Price is Right. Come on, everybody knows The Price is Right.
At some
That's
point you've been exposed to it. It's almost ubiquitous. It's like
come on,
saying
come
you
on.
don't know what the Wheel of Fortune is or
Right,
whatever.
everybody
It's like
knows Bob Barker.
everybody again, Bob Barker or
You know,
Patsy. I mean, at some point they've gotten into the
legend,
cultural.
legend.
Exactly.
You
It's
know,
like there's got to be memes somewhere about all these people. So so yeah, I would have imagined. But either way, that's what the difference. We can find the things, and as long as we're kind in the way, There are vegans that are very militant, and there's vegans that say I didn't even know. So good. That means that he's doing the things he needs to without saying you have to be this, right? Because that's the problem. Is once you get this cause, then you think somebody has to be in alignment with your cause, and they don't. Whether it's veganism or all the other ones in the world. So fortunately, he lived his truth, hopefully, and went with animal rights as compared to being
Yeah.
anti-non-vegans, which is what happens to a lot of vegans. They become anti-non-vegans as compared to being for animal rights, right? So good for him for living his truth.
Bob Barker over there, 99 years old. God bless him, man, huh? We should all be 99, huh? He lived his life. There it is. Passed away at 99. But you can actually see the breaking news. Anybody's watching it, you click up above. I'll put a click there after this, and you can click right on it or check out our playlist. And then, yeah, that's what's going on in the world. What else? The news. You don't really follow the news much, Dr. G. I
I
don't
try to
blame
stay
you.
away from the news as much as I can. I was trying. I can't remember where I found out about the Jacksonville shooting. So I looked at that this morning just because I figured that would be maybe one of those topics as far as it goes. And and so, but I try to as much as I can not get too involved in that because it is the mainstream media is meant to manipulate you, and the idea is spend your time in meditation, reading great books and other things as far as that goes with as minimal exposure to these things as you can. It's like, have I really this that's why so many of my patients for California, how could you live in Tennessee with the the autocrat, the fascist dictatorship, the non-democracy that the state of Tennessee is because I don't pay much attention to it is the answer.
Yeah.
It's like, so how do you just live with the people who you're with, and even though that these things are going on, and of course you can't be a fan of them, you just hopefully just kindness, compassion, empathy. Something has to change the momentum of things away from profit only kinds of approaches, which is
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's certain things that I don't get too wrapped up over here because the news is crazy, and I don't get. I try to lighten it up, but here's something funny that did come. I wonder if I could put it up here for you and post it up here. I don't know if I can, but over the weekend, and I'm not political, so don't anybody watching this, whatever side you on your fence.
right.
I'm right in the middle. I'm just want what's good for everybody, and I'll be very clear. I got that line from D. Snyder. I'm just right about, I don't get too crazy about it. But what I did find was pretty interesting was uh, the mug shots of the former president
Oh yeah,
Trump,
that
and then
became
you
a
got
meme. Yeah.
you got his mug shot out there. Then you got Rudy Giuliani's mug shot, which was crazy. It's crazy. So then I was doing a picture comparison, and I wish I could put it up here for you guys to see it. The mugshot of John Gotti, of all three of them together,
Oh really? I
because
bet
when
it
you
would be.
think about this, Rudy Giuliani, Rico,
Yeah.
it was a Rico charge. He went after
He
Gotti.
used to get that. Now he's got being gotten on the other side of it. It's beautiful.
He's the guy on the other side of the fence now.
But
Pretty crazy, huh? When you think, right?
like people get swept up. That's the idea of an image of whatever they thought that person the T word the was. Again, it's one of the greatest marketing jobs of all time. There's no doubt about it as far as that goes. And it's going to bring a lot of people down with him, which was inevitable because that's what he does. And so,
It,
but yeah, so it's an interesting phenomenon to watch. From excuse me, from from
It was
afar.
the whole thing was pretty crazy. I'm trying
Yeah.
to enter the studio, and I hope I don't have any feedback, because maybe tell me if there's any feedback. Maybe I could upload the picture for you guys to see. I just found it very interesting, the whole thing. Like, here is this guy that put away, one of the biggest mafia guys, and he took down he was like, he was out to get
Mhm.
them, and now he's sharing that, the spotlight the same way he put away this other
Yes. Yeah.
man. I don't have the picture to put up here. I wanted to share it with you guys. It was actually pretty funny. But
Right.
anyway, that's what's going on in the world
Mhm.
right now. And if you guys want to check out Artist on Record, my interview with Steve Binder, the man behind Elvis's 1968 comeback special, I actually broke that up in a couple of editions. Very interesting story. You guys will find that all interesting right here. Oh, I think I did find the picture. Let me see if I can add this right here. Hold on. Dr. G, I might be
Mhm.
able to do this.
Right.
Let's see. if this going to let me do this. There might be a connection issue. Can't get on it. Maybe it'll pop up already. Maybe it won't. Let me delete this overlay. Let's see if we can get this for you guys. I thought it was a funny picture to share with you guys. But in the meantime, everybody, thanks for being here this morning. Live show, talking about what's trending, what's current, and all that good stuff. But right here, before we get out of here, also, I thought this was funny. Remember the movie The Godfather, the opening line? You remember what he says? I believe in America. The guy goes to Don Corleone. I want justice for my daughter, Don Corleone.
Yeah.
Well, this picture says it all right here. Look at this. I believe it.
There it is.
I believe in America. Think about this. There's John Gotti. Who does it better, you think? Whose mugshot stands loud and proud right now?
There you go. Yeah, exactly. I'm proud of who they are. You know, the other guys are just looking to make a statement with their mugshots, right? And so it's kind of hilarious, you know.
If you're going to be any of these guys, who would you want to be? I you know, I got to tell the truth. I think I want to be the guy in the middle, man. Look at him, you know.
Right.
You know.
Is it funny what you're saying? I would be in the middle, and the truth, but you know, the agreed upon criminal is the one that looks basically good and you trust far more than a former president and one of his lackeys, you know. And so, which is interesting. I bet there's more integrity in the guy in the middle than there is in the other two. And
look at it. He's
like
prepped up for the picture. Gotti.
Yeah,
Gotti
exactly.
he went out like a Don.
Exactly.
Never ratted out on anybody. You know, think about him. Never ratted. He went out like a king. He was a true Don.
And so,
you know?
At least there was an integrity to something, you know, there, meaning staying true to one thing. And so, yeah, exactly. Well, that's, you know, even when you were saying right in the middle, and I'll try not to be too,
Go.
People used to say I'm colorblind as a way of saying that, oh, I'm not a racist. And you can't be colorblind because the world isn't. And being colorblind actually helps white supremacists. And so we have to be not just, you know, it's not colorblind, but anti-racist from a standpoint of being aware of what created this world and all the foundational forms of racism that are out there. Same thing goes when we talk about being in the middle. It's there, the middle. You have to be very careful because the middle, the bar has been set so horrifically towards hating LGBTQs and all these other things, that the middle right now is actually would make you a very unkind human being. Okay. So the middle of equality, basic human decency, healthcare for all is not progressive at all. It's made people have been made to feel that's far left when it's actually basic human. Let's just use healthcare for all. 34 of the 35 developed countries have it. In our country, it's considered to be a leftist propaganda progressive ideal to have healthcare for all. Now, is it really leftist? No, it's actually the most basic human decency thing you could have. So you have to be careful when, say, somebody says I'm in the middle. What does that mean? Because you're either for a profit-based way of murdering people in the country, or you're for healthcare for all. The middle ground is somewhere that would take you towards that other side. So, and almost any viewpoint you could look at that. So we have to be very careful about how we see what the middle is anymore, because one side's been dragged so far away from even the most basic human decency. You know, the conservatives used to conserve the public lands, but now they would take them for the oil companies. So So everybody out there, just be careful. Our words do matter. And so I would just be aware that what does that mean when I'm saying in the middle? Can you even be non-political anymore in a world where everything has been politicized? I'm asking that question, but I would tell you it's very difficult not to be, because people see it through that specter. So that's why you have to be careful of saying I'm colorblind, because that doesn't exist in a way that helps anybody but white supremacists. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, and even when you see those mugshots, think about, seriously, the guy in the middle probably has more integrity than a former president and a lackey, you know. So that's how far drawn towards, again, whatever you would call it, from evil to depravity to whatever it is that one side has become. You don't want to be in the middle between basic human decency and that. And so it's because I am because seriously, my values, I actually started off as a kid, I was considered a Republican because my family grew up that way, as far as
Yeah.
that goes. And the values seem consistent. As time has gone on, the same value systems for me. And I'm a far left progressive, whatever, because nothing's changed for me. What's changed is in 40 years of post Reagan era, we've really gotten so crazed in our country that we're almost delusional in terms of what we think what the middle would be. Okay, it's like, how do we preserve the land? How do we preserve the environment is the question. That's been taken away from people. It's fascinating. And
Well,
so
I'll tell you one thing. You know what?
mm,
To make a joke of it all, which this would make a great coffee mug.
yeah,
These
they
shots,
would.
mug shots. Maybe that'd be my new business. Just
Make
do a
it, yeah,
shop called Mug Shots,
literally
and then
mugshots.
put
Yeah, that's exactly.
and put these pictures on your mugs.
Hmm.
Good business. I wonder if I could get away with doing so. I'm going to try to
Deb
put some
Jackson.
mug shots
That's
with coffee talk on my shop where I'll do the logo, and on the
yeah,
other side I'll just see what happens if I can put the
true
picture.
actual mugshots
Yeah,
of people.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
see
and
if I
say,
can do it on
who,
my
like,
store.
who's the criminal here?
I'm gonna actually see if I could sell them on my store. And if
You
you
know,
guys want to check the store out, links will be down below. And
right.
yeah, that'll be fun.
I like that.
You gotta make a light of
I
something.
know you got made a lot of these things,
Everybody's
but
making a buck off of something. I'm gonna wait for Netflix to do a mini series on this situation.
well,
That'll be some interesting story. Like
right.
what really went on there? Like what really
Mhm.
went behind the
Oh,
scenes? I mean, just look at the
again, in the
faces.
future, we're going to have so many good, like,
I mean,
insider versions of what that White House was like, about what
really,
the
like
mob
really,
supporting them was like, and
what went on behind it? I mean, when you look at the picture, I'm not even getting political now. Just look
no,
at
just
every picture tells a story, Dr. G,
right,
and that tells a story. I
right,
believe in America. That's it.
right.
That's all I
Like,
got to say, you know?
yeah,
You don't have to say anything.
yeah,
There it is, But anyway, Dr. G, it's wonderful hanging out with you. Oh,
yeah.
also, what's crazy right now, we didn't discuss, Britney Spears. What about this poor thing and her divorce?
I heard she got divorced. Miranda brought that up to me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know why. Is there any details on that?
I don't know. Maybe I think she was just the housekeeper who's a man. The husband maybe caught him. She was having some kind of affair. I don't know the real
Well,
story, but she doesn't seem like she's on the right path, does she, Dr. G?
no, that
She's
seems like there's influences. I mean, she's had her share of
Her
issues,
IG is
obviously, in the past.
it's like a car accident. You can't help but not stare at it, looking at the
Really?
accident on the side of the road. Yeah,
Is she
she's
still
always
on IG? Is she
oh,
still
she's
doing?
dancing like an animal up there.
Oh,
Not
well,
any Britney Spears fans out here watching.
mhm,
He called her an animal. No, I'm not.
mhm,
It's a nice animal. I
yeah.
don't know. She's starting to turn into the movie Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Betty
Mm,
Davis, Joan Crawford.
right.
She's starting to get wacky. Well, not starting to, but you know what I mean. Just watch it. It's just you
Right.
can't help not watching it. Follow
Right.
her. She's always. I'd love to get her on the show. And then
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
again, you always want to hear people's point of view. I bet she sees the world from a different perspective than you or I, and we could expand on that. Is it going to be healthy for her? That's always the key. Is she really healthy? So what kind of help do we all need? Because we all need help, right?
we all
And
need
so,
help. We all need somebody to lean
I
our
wish
head
her the
on.
very
Yeah.
best. She's never seemed like a bad person to me at all. And so, but again, that, like Danny's saying, becoming famous can become its own disease, and so, and I don't know if that's the key thing for her. So
Yeah, well, Brittany, we wish you the best, and she seems happy. She's dancing, as the
mhm,
Odd Couple show. Happy, peppy, with bursting in love. Well, anyway,
mhm,
she's celebrating her divorce and all that stuff. Well,
right.
anyway,
Well,
Brittany,
again, yeah,
have a good time with yourself. What can I
right.
tell you? Everybody, this is Dr. G. I am ADIKA. Thanks for being here this morning. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for being a part of the chat over here. And
Mhm,
over here, always good to see people. Deb
yeah,
Jackson, she's over here. John
mhm,
Gotti
yeah.
from the Gambino family. That's right. That's right.
She said her
Thank you.
brother-in-law was a doctor. I like that for
Oh,
the show.
right on. There you go.
Right,
That's right.
that would be an interesting job.
That would be, huh? 77 Danny says she's an example that fame is not the indicator for happiness. Yeah, very true. Very true. And I don't know where Deb Jackson, not Deb Jackson, Deb Muller is, but anyway, she probably fell asleep. But anyway, it's early. But it's Sunday. But
She was there at 12:30, so yeah, exactly.
she got up early. She was there
It's
at
a little
12:30.
too early. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
Deb Muller
exactly.
just fell asleep. Like Deb Muller loves this show so much that she's like at 3 a.m. in the morning, has it ready to go, and the
Okay.
poor woman fell asleep on her laptop. Like right now, Deb Muller's watching this, and she's like,
She probably is exactly. Yeah. Just-
she'll wake up right when the outro goes up. But Deb Muller, we love you. Deb Jackson,
yes.
you're my peeps. Deb Jackson, thanks for being here. And
Thanks,
everybody else, all the other Patreons, everybody, thanks for being a part of here. Thanks for sharing this. And 77 Daddy, great to see you and Deb Jackson in the chat, keeping it alive. And I guess Dr. G, next Sunday we'll talk about some more interesting things that comes on my desk and I can bring to your desk. And
I like it.
yeah,
I'll stay up on things a little bit.
that's okay.
It's usually stuff that Miranda tells me. I know that stuff. Yeah.
You got me.
Who slit whose throat and what happened to Britney Spears? See, I know. I get to know these things.
Now let's take a bet over here. Do you think this character from the Kristen Smart? Do you think he'll survive? Do you think he has a tag
again? And not if they keep on putting him out into general population, so he won't be able to. So
yeah. What are the odds of him surviving? Right there, not very good, huh?
Yeah,
not very good. You know what? You can't trust the news. You can't trust what's out there. But you know who you can trust? TMZ. They're pretty accurate with the news. That's where I get my news from, And all right, everybody. Always great to see everybody here. Thank you for being here. We love you. And I'll let the outro go. If I missed something something that you guys want to talk about, put it in the comments down below.
Yeah, just tell us what you want to talk about. If you hear things medically that you want us to talk about as well too, and I'll keep it to the medicine side of things. Sorry, sometimes there's an overview of the world.
We need the medicine, and also everybody, if you want to find links to the doctor supplement shop, I'll put links down below. Right. The Coffee 20, I think it expired in August. So
did it?
I think so. So we might have to get a new tag. But in the meantime, if you're over 55, you do get a 10% discount. Right. Links will be there. Get some good supplements for yourself. Take care of yourself. Be your own doctor. Yeah. Dr.
Exactly.
Google.
That's just self-referral, healthy food. Good. There's lots of things. Listening to your own self. There's lots of self-care things we can do out there. Be very careful of Dr. Google.
Dr. Google. I'm eating more sardines now. I like sardines and olive oil.
It seems to be making a comeback.
Is it? Is sardines making a comeback?
I seem to have more and more patients. When I say that, I'm just talking about more and more patients bring up, I'm eating 2 cans of sardines a week, and there are tests that we look for the omega-3s are doing better. So I say, hey, if you can stick with it.
Really?
Sardines are low on the food chain. They're a good source of minerals as well as healthy fats. They're a good food, if you will.
That's interesting. Interesting.
So they seem to be. I don't know the exact sales numbers out there, everybody. I'm just saying, just my general impression from talking to people. More and more people seem to be saying that. Whereas for so long, it's like sardines. Ew, I'll never eat those.
No, they're very good. There's different types of sardines. So right now, see, you're a man on the street. You hear what the people are saying to you. Your patients are coming up to you, telling you that. You're not even recommending it. They're just saying,
they're just exactly, and because everybody knows I recommend the omega-3 supplements because most people aren't going to be eating the sardines or wild caught salmons or whatever else like that, and those are perfectly valid ways of getting omega-3s in. Obviously, if you're not doing it, taking the omega-3 supplement, but no, I've had more people do that. I tell you, this one lady who she goes on Amazon. I order it, and you can get them in glass, and I'm in glass jars, the sardines. And I order not only I order those, I order cod livers on Amazon. I put the cod livers onto the sardines, and I'm eating that, and I go, wow, that sounds gross, but she's doing it. So, and her numbers look good. So,
so the numbers are good. So
it can work, obviously, and so. Stefan, get an answer, please. Sorry,
I don't know. Deb Jackson. I think she's looking for a doctor. I think she's looking for a doctor or something.
Being a doctor yet in Tennessee. Oh, I actually still am seeing people telemedicine wise, so I don't have an office set up in Tennessee, and don't know if I ever will. It's who knows. And so, but I still do telemedicine through Middle Path Medicine, and so that's what I'm doing.
I love when she yells, but so if you. Deb Jackson is your answer. So I'm more infatuated now with the sardines because I got a bunch of cans up. You got to find the right one. King Oscar makes a good one called Tiny Tots. It's a yellow. Those are my favorite sardines. They're in olive oil.
Awesome.
and I eat
Olive oil is
them.
a good thing. I was going to actually say that. You can get them in olive oil, which is a good oil, and that makes it a good. You get the olive oil component to it as well. And
Yeah,
so yeah, the just the key in this is I always tell people is make sure be true to yourself. If you don't like sardines, don't eat them. If you do, then they're fine. They're a fine food, but you don't have to eat them, right? Like we were
yeah.
saying with the veganism, you don't have to be a vegan to be healthy at all. However, if you feel healthier eating that way, then go that way because that's the way you feel, not because of some theoretical idea that it's a better way of eating, because it's not a better way of eating for some people. It is for some. How do you know? Because you experience it, right? That's the same thing goes with, try sardines if you haven't done it in a while, and try a good brand with some olive oil and things like that. I eat sardines very rarely, as far as that goes, but you know, but that's just not something I'm drawn to as much. It's like I eat more blueberries than I do blackberries, and if you ate more blackberries and blueberries, good for you. Just enjoy. There's a lot of good berries out there.
Organic ones you got to go
Organics,
for.
of course. When it comes to berries, you really have to go organic. Everybody, it's so
Even if you
um,
clean it with, there's
even if
ways I see on
there's
Instagram with the
difference.
baking soda and the
Yeah, it
vinegar.
doesn't take enough of the residues out.
It doesn't, huh?
Yeah. And
So
so,
organic. I mean, organic is the
yeah,
way to go. Sometimes it looks prettier the other way, but
right. Yeah.
you don't want to put that in there, huh?
No. No.
Yes, it's good to know,
Yeah.
Dr. G.
But yeah, no, there does seem like more and more people are bringing up the spontaneously my
Sardines.
number said I'm eating more sardines. It's like, okay. A lady, again, I've had one lady who brought up anchovies, and I go, seriously, you're eating anchovies? And she goes, yeah, I love anchovies. And not just for Caesar dressing. I'm teasing her now
You
at this
just got to
point.
be
You know,
careful when you buy them to make sure what they are packed in.
Yeah, what they packed in, is a very key thing. And so, but since they're low in the food chain, they're very unlikely to be contaminated with chemicals or heavy metals, pesticides, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why, they're a good choice of foods.
Tiny Tots is the way to go, and I like it's a yellow packaging. And you know
Hmm.
what? They're packed in Poland, and there's a nice little picture. It looks really beautiful, and you eat them. It feels a little gourmet.
Does it?
Last night
Okay.
had a late night snack. I was so hungry. I
Yeah.
made homemade hummus. Right,
Uh-huh. Right.
homemade hummus. I do
Hmm.
the garlic, lemon juice, parsley, chickpeas, tahini,
Hmm.
organic. Everything's organic, and I made it, and I had that at 10 p.m.
Hmm.
with my can of sardines, standing up, the
Hmm.
Jewish way to do it.
Right.
You always stand up in the kitchen, and that was my
Yeah.
late night snack.
I like
But
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not going on that medication. I don't care what
Hmm.
you tell me I got to
Just
do, Doctor G.
eat healthy foods, and again, listen to your own body. You respond negatively to sardines, you don't eat them. You respond
That's
positively, you
right,
say, "Hey, I enjoy this. I think I feel good." You incorporate them into your dietary routine,
Tristan.
and so
I like it, Doctor
learn to
G.
listen to yourself, everybody, as compared to the Googles and the whatever else, which is where this started. It's like, if you find out on Google, hey, sardines are a good food. But then you try them and you go, wow, I hadn't thought of that for a while. Now I kind of enjoy having a couple of cans of sardines a week. Then good for you. You've learned something. But the truth is your experience. It's called experiential knowingness. Your experiential knowingness is that I like this.
Yeah,
And the context is you learned about it because it was something healthy, potentially healthy, but then you applied it to yourself and see if it worked, right? Like I love swimming. Not everybody does, right? And so how do you know? Because you swim, right? And so not everybody has to be a swimmer. Okay, and
yeah.
learn to experience things and that's how your knowingness comes. But once you're a healthy sardine eater or a healthy swimmer, you don't have to make everybody else do that. That's just something good for you. Um,
Yeah. Well, Deb, is
Something
there
you can
something you
eat
could
to
use?
help bone healing. Well,
Sardines.
it's funny. We the number one nutrients, as you guys know, are K2 and D3, and that's why we actually take K2 and D3 supplements, and that's a supplement, not a food. I understand not exactly the question. And then outside of that, then where the healthiest source of minerals, and then actually we're bringing up one, the sardines is a good source because you're eating the bones within the fish as well too, right?
That's
And
right.
then a lot of different varieties of different nuts and seeds and greens and things are another good foods for bones. But most people for bone healing, it's the K2 and the D3, and that's the K force that we've talked about so many times on the program. And then sometimes adding in a good multi-mineral. So when I have people who've had a broken bone, for instance, I really tell them go on one of the osteoporosis formulas, even if they're a young male, go on one of those formulas meant to help promote bone healing and just do it for that length of time for, again, the month or two, as long as pain persists. That's my basic parameter. How long do you treat your broken bone until it stops hurting, and you have full function back, and so, but a good multi-mineral. But another way of getting a good multi-mineral is actually through whole food eating, nuts and seeds especially, and a whole variety of berries, etc. Provide the flavonols for the anti-inflammatory effects, etc. It's not just about dairy. Dairy, organic grass-fed dairy can be a good food. I want to make sure everybody hears that. That's the first thing people think of when they think of bones, obviously. And we've mentioned that can be a good food as long as you do well with it. But that would be a great example when we talk about treating people and not diseases. So, because the question is, how do I help my bone healing? Let's say you're dairy sensitive and you start doing more dairy for your bones and stop listening to the fact that it's giving you diarrhea and all these other things, but you keep doing because it's good for your bones. It won't be good for your bones because it isn't good for you, Deb or Stefan or whomever. So that's how we have to learn to treat ourselves as we're treating our bones, right? Okay, because the right diet for each person is going to be different, because you have to have a healthy Gary to have him treat his broken bone, healthy Stefan to have him treat his broken bone. And that's the way to look at it. So whatever keeps you healthiest, whatever foods are best for you, that are anti-inflammatory especially, are going to be helpful for your any healing process, whatever the wound is. And so, that's why you want to make sure you learn to listen to yourself, as compared to just saying, well, I'm going to eat dairy to heal my bones. If you're dairy sensitive, that's like one of the worst pieces of advice, because you're not treating yourself. You're treating yourself like a broken bone who so happens to have a person. You want to treat the person who so happens to have the broken bone.
There you go. There you go. Dr. G, it's Deb Jackson. Deb, I hope Dr. G was able to help you today.
Yeah.
And also, I'm glad to know that sardines. I'm glad to end this show with a couple of good things, from Bob Barker to right here, the mugshot, to sardines.
Sardines, exactly.
That's the answer, everybody. Love your sardines. Everybody be good to each other. It is Sunday. Get out there. Do something special. It's my wife's birthday tomorrow. She's like, you don't plan anything. You don't plan. You ask me. Like, she wants a surprise. Like I try to be polite to my wife. Go, oh, would you like
You've
to do
already
this?
mentioned it on a show a day before. You've handled her birthday, or as far as I'm concerned. It's like, Amber, hey, you could just run a tape of the show where you mention it's Amber's birthday. Poof.
Amber's birthday. I know.
I made you famous, honey. I mean, come on.
Like, at least I remembered it's your birthday tomorrow. But now she rolls her eyes. Oh, I don't want to do nothing. She wants something special.
Don't fall for that. And 1 second.
Like, what are we supposed to do? 1 second we got bills and we got bills we got to pay. The next second, I go, well, we could go to dinner here. Well, we got the bills to pay.
Yeah,
but she does it. But
don't fall for that at all.
She wants me to go on the credit card debt, and it's like, what do you want me to do?
You better do something.
I can't do nothing. I would take a picnic and go somewhere nicer with a can of sardines, but she don't like sardines.
Well, that's where you have to play to your audience. Exactly. So no, if she doesn't like sardines, I wouldn't bring them. She'd think,
like, I would love for my birthday a can of sardines, like gourmet sardines. It would be, oh wow. And she's got me special sardines. I'm like, wow, these are great.
That's the kind of thing you need to get her special sardine. What is Amber's special sardine is the question. What is the special sardine for her? And so
her thing is planning a trip. That's what she does. She's always looking at hotels. She does. That's her vision board. I work to go on vacation. That's her thing. For me, going on a vacation with Amber is no vacation. It's a big headache.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. Don't even get me started right now. You're my therapist. No, she's not watching this. I'll tell you the truth. She wants to go on vacation. Her vacation is getting there, rushing through the airport, realizing she's there, not really appreciating the history. She just wants to say she was there. She doesn't even care that she's there. She just wants to say she's there. She doesn't even know what the hell's going on, Dr. G. Don't make me rant this morning.
Oh, I won't do that. No.
It's
me who does that.
My wife, you can take her right there. This is where Napoleon left his hat in Paris at this restaurant. He couldn't pay his bill. He took his hat. He left it. He gave it to them. And that hat is in the restaurant, right? In a showcase. And I'm like, wow. She's just like, get me out of this restaurant. They got moose head brains on the platter. I go, but that's French food. This is a delicacy here. Not to her. She's freaking out. You planned this trip. I took you to some historical site where the guy left his hat. I found it very interesting. She made me leave the restaurant because of the menu. There's like I didn't eat the brains, but she saw the table next to us.
You don't have to. Exactly.
So I'm sitting in this restaurant. You know how the French are. Oh, this is a crazy story. Right. I'm sitting in this nice restaurant, right? It's the way it's been there forever. Napoleon ate there. People. Benjamin Franklin went there. ADIKA gets to go there. I'm sitting there with the family. They
Right.
leave me, her in Brooklyn, because they're
Big
vegans.
kids.
Amber threw up in the street. This is a true story. I'm
Wow.
sitting at the
Just
table with
thinking of eating moose brains.
yeah, I'm at the table. The French guy, the waiter, comes up to me. He's like pissed. Where's you? Because it's like they're not here, the family. I'm sitting by myself like a schmuck. I'm like this. I'm trying to be like making believe I'm reading things. Like I'm looking at the menus in French. I don't know what I'm reading. It's in French, and
That's
my
right.
wife's outside looking at the window, laughing at me
Awesome.
after she threw up. Made me sit in the restaurant by myself with the brains next to me. Don't even ask. I ordered some stuff I couldn't stand, but that's my vacation with Amber. Take her somewhere historical. She
Oh,
leaves
that's
me in the
awesome.
dust. There.
Yeah, there you go. You
You
should
know,
just
Amber,
take her to murder scenes instead or something, whatever. Yeah.
she doesn't like that. I like that.
Go figure.
I
The
like
wife
that.
doesn't like the murder scene route.
I want to go. I want to go on these. I want to bring the stuff to Deb Jackson, to Debbie Moeller, the 77 Danny. I want to bring these stories. I want to video them and then try to make a vlog and share it to them. But
Yes,
my
of
wife,
course.
she doesn't care. All she wants to do is complain. That's it. She wants to get up. She wants to get her ass running to nowhere.
Go to
You know what, Amber? You get what you get,
Mhm.
and don't throw a fit. That's
Right.
it. That's it.
There you go.
I'll fix her wig and give her a can of tiny
Yes,
tots. That's a
Well,
great gift because
Again,
if she
she's a
doesn't eat
vegan,
it,
so don't give her the sardines. So the vegans don't like the sardines.
I'll eat it. I'll get a vegan. I'll
Yeah.
get a package
But
of
it's
vegan
like yeah,
tuna.
getting like when I was a kid, getting my mom a waffle iron. It's like it's not really for her. It's like make me waffles. Um,
I know. Right now, my blood pressure's gone up. I better
yeah,
get
I'm
some
sure it is.
sardines.
So you don't get her the sardines because then
All
you just end up
right.
eating them. So
All right. I got to go take her somewhere today.
are they
Today,
little
I'll,
vegan soy sardines? That would be cute. Just get her like. There's got to be. They make soy everything,
you
sausages.
got to be right.
You got to
I mean,
think there's some soy sardines somewhere.
I'll
That would be
find her
hilarious.
something.
Okay.
Go with her and a yelling
I
kid
think
and a yelling
soy
wife.
sardines and a candle.
That's
you
it.
light
You know what I need to
That's
do?
romance.
I need to order more K-Force. I ran out. I have to go do that.
Gotta
More
do that.
K-Force for me. I need it. All righty.
Mhm.
In the meantime, everybody, you can get supplements like this, like I do, right
Yep.
at Dr. G's place. Links are down below. I am ADIKA. Thanks for being a member here. Ladies, thanks for being here today.
Yes.
Everybody else, we
Thanks
love
for
you.
putting
Deb,
up with us.
yeah, Deb Moeller, wake up. Wait,
Yeah.
where
You
is
figured
Deb?
the ranch would have gotten her up, but no.
Deb Moeller right now. You know what she's doing? What the hell is she doing? Sleeping
Exactly.
on her laptop over there. All right, everybody. We
All right,
love
guys.
you. It is that time. Dr. G, go pick some weeds. Have some fun. with
I will be doing some weeding today.
it. We'll see you all later. Make sure you click on a special box that's going to pop up somewhere. And here's our outro. It all ends now. We'll see you later. Remember, who loves you, baby? We do.
We do.
Mwah.
It's coffee talk with the Tika. Nothing rhymes with that but chicken tikka. We name drop here. We're Stephen and all his friends.
This episode was brought to you by Tiny Tots, the sardines that keep you going. That's right. Make sure you click on the box that pops up somewhere here. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and comment down below. And always remember to subscribe. Who loves you, baby? We do. We'll see you next Sunday. Mwah.